Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic. It is the season, is it not, to be jolly? It's Christmas time. It's a wonderful time of the year. Children are getting all excited and getting ready for the anticipation of the man in the red suit coming and bringing them hopefully all their treasures that they want. And it's just an interesting time of the year because, you know, children and their wonderment never cease to amaze me. Even as I get older, I still sort of see the excitement in their faces. And that's an amazing thing. And it's something I don't think that we should take away from children. I think it's something that's really magical, part of their childhood and part of the wonderment that, you know, is supposed to be there as being a child. That's part of, you know, what we're supposed to be about. Here in Australia today, we've just switched off social media for children under 16. Very controversial situation here in Australia. I must say I'm in the camp of that I believe children under 16 shouldn't be on social media. I think they've got enough other pressures in their life without that, but that's just my opinion. So maybe the rest of the world will follow suit. So interestingly enough, this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is the Three of Pentacles. Now, the Three of Pentacles is improvements underway, but delays around it. And it's also the card of renowned glory. Now, this card also represents a place of worship. Now, it's an interesting card to come out at this time of the year because I know many people do go and follow their religious beliefs at this time of the year. It's not just about presents and eating and being with children and the wonderment of it. It's also about what the season actually represents. And it's a very religious time of the year. So for those people that are looking to sort of head towards their local church or their place of worship, this card also represents that for you. But most times it's usually sort of indicating that there's improvements underway in our lives, no matter what we think has been going on. You know, whether or not we feel we've been in a rush or things haven't been going quite the way that we want them to, whether that's on a financial front or whether it's on a personal front. Sometimes, you know, at this time of the year, it brings up the relationships that may be strained within families. And it's a time of healing. It's a time of reaching out and being that bigger person and reaching out and saying, hey, there's a spare seat at the table. We'd love you to join us, or come over for coffee or something like that. It's not a time to hold a grudge. It's not a time to sort of neglect people that are important and part of our family, because before too long, those people may not be around, and we need to celebrate and validate the people that are in our lives, whether we agree with them or not. We don't always have to agree with everybody, but we can tolerate people and accept them for who they are. So that's what I like to look at this card as being, you know, even though there is delays around things, there is the renowned glory, and we can find some peace and understanding at this magical time of the year. So happy birthday to all the Sagittarians, and I'm one of them. It's an amazing time of the year. It's my favourite time of the year, and probably not just because I'm a Saggy. I'm just a real sucker for Christmas. I really love this season. It sort of always fills me with hope that, you know, next year's going to be better, or we've got something to be thankful for, or we should just enjoy the fact that it is a magical time of the year and a time to get together with friends and, you know, share a good story and a meal and a laugh and a joke, and just be thankful that we made another year. And that's the way I sort of like to look at it. So happy birthday to all the fellow Saggies around the world. It's an amazing time of the year, and it's our time to shine. We have Venus, the planet of love and affection, at the moment is conjunct or holding hands the Sun in Sagittarius. Now, what this means, if you're looking for love, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is, I want you to get out and about, because the Sagittarian energy is about exploring the world, getting out, doing something different, daring to sort of, you know, look for greener pastures or explore new uncharted territories. It's a very high energy sign. So if you're looking to sort of bring love into your life now, get out and amongst the people, get out amongst the things that are going on in your neighbourhood, you know, whether it's carol singing or whether it's a concert in the park or whether it's donating your services and your time to help those that are in need, or food banks, or whatever the case may be. Get out amongst the people. This is where you're going to find your other half, because you're both doing something that you really, really enjoy. And it's nice to meet somebody that has the same values as you. That's a really important thing. It's easy to fall in love with somebody because they're good looking or they're attractive or whatever, but it's the real person that's underneath is what we truly fall in love with. It's their values and what they stand for, what they represent, and the type of person that they are. And it's a magical time of the year to meet that someone special. We also have the Sun in Sagittarius is conjunct or holding hands Mars, the planet of action. Now, this means for mostly the fire signs, it's Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, and the opposite side of Gemini, but washing over the remaining 8 signs It's a time of action. Now, it's a time where you've got to be really a little bit more patient than normal. Fire signs aren't necessarily known for their patience. They want everything done yesterday and are always in, fast mode. They only know two speeds, fast and stop. And as I get older, I appreciate that, somewhere in the middle is much better. But as when you're younger and, everything's on a timeline and you've got to get everything done yesterday, this is the only speed that you know. Now, with Mars here, Mars is asking us to really sort of ramp things up, to sort of look at the areas of our lives that maybe need sorting out, whether that's, personal matters, whether it's something to do with your health, whether it's to do with your finances. It doesn't really matter. Mars is giving you the action there to be able to move things along and to get some resolution, to get some answers to things that maybe have been troubling you. So it's a good time, sort of, particularly if you're a fire sign, to get to the bottom of those issues that you've been putting off before the end of the year rolls around, preferably. So we have Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Scorpio. Now, I affectionately call this having razor blades for breakfast. Now, with Mercury here, yes, it does predominantly affect the water signs, which is Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, the opposite sign of Taurus, but it is filtering over the rest of us, the remaining 8 signs. Now, Mercury here can be very, very direct. It can be very cutting, and that's why I affectionately call it like having razor blades for breakfast before you have a conversation. You have to be very, very careful of how you choose your words. If you've got something really important that you need to communicate or have a conversation with or go into a meeting about, make sure that you go in very well prepared. Don't go in there with all guns a-blazing and ready to cut somebody down to size with your cutting words. Make sure that you add a little bit of warmth to it too. Sometimes I think we do need to have a really serious conversation, and we get so gung-ho about it that we forget to put a little bit of warmth in there. And that's what I'm asking you to do here. Scorpio can give you, here with Mercury here in Scorpio, can give you the ability to be very clear and very precise about what you want to say, and to say it with little or no emotion. But it doesn't mean that we've got to be cutting. It doesn't mean that we've got to be nasty or cut the other person down to size. We can do it with a little bit of warmth and a little bit of humour, and that way you'll probably get a better result. And I think that's really important, because if you've got an important meeting or a conversation that you've got to have, you want to get a good result. You don't want it to be sort of worse than what it was before you began. We're hoping for resolution. That's what Mercury is doing in Scorpio, is asking us to look under the covers, look for different solutions. Not everything is right, black and white. Not everything's right in front of your nose. Sometimes we've got to go searching for the answer, and we have the energy and the direction here to be able to do it. So, why not utilize this and make sure that we're gaining the most out of any serious conversation or very important conversations that we've got to have over the next few weeks, and make sure that we're putting a little bit of warmth in there as well. And, that also spills over to all the family gatherings and the Christmas parties and the events that you're going to too. Don't just get a couple of little drinks under your belt and get a little bit of Dutch courage and tell the boss what you really think of him. Keep that for another day. Write it down and burn it or something. Don't necessarily tell him to your face, because you might end up with a job after it. So, make sure that you're very careful with how you communicate. And, and I know there's lots of people that, they go to a Christmas party, have a couple of drinks, get a bit of Dutch courage, and all of a sudden, they've got very loose lips. And the old saying is loose lips sink ships. So just be very aware of that. We have Jupiter, the planet of expansion and opportunity, has been sitting in Cancer now for about 12 months, and he's going to be there till next March. Now, at the moment, Jupiter is going what's known as retrograde or backwards. So this is really playing havoc with a lot of Cancers at the moment. They're wanting to sort of expand and create new opportunities in their life, but it's almost like they're shooting themselves in the foot. It's, the Cancer energy is not necessarily known for its great speed. A lot of people affectionately write it up as going sideways to go forward. Look, I know a lot of very strong Cancerians, and I'm not going to say that they're all weak. They're certainly not. And, they're some of the most talented, creative, clever people that I've ever met in my lifetime. And for some of them at the moment, they're really struggling with new ideas, that, there's been changes in their lives, that there might have been a job that came to a close, or they came to retirement or something like that, but they're not ready to retire, and they're looking at sort of what to do with this bundle of cash that they've got, but they don't want to sort of it dwindling down, but they want to make it work for them. So that they're really looking at things in a a much broader sort of picture, but at the same time, it's making them a little bit cranky. So if you've got a Cancer around you that's a little bit snappy, snarly at the moment, a little bit sort of like its claws coming out and snapping at you, just try and be a little bit more patient with them, because it's uncharted territory for them. They don't sort of like to be big and bold. They like to be very sure before they make a choice or a decision. And at the moment, Jupiter is sort of pushing them underneath their little crab shell, saying, come on, it's time to get out there. It's time to do some bigger things with your life. Don't miss this opportunity. And they're sort of saying, yeah. But at the same time, you come in, you mention something, then they bite your head off. So, just be aware of that. Be a little bit more patient of them. We still have Saturn conjunct or holding hands Neptune in Pisces. They were retrograde. They're both now stationary, ready to go forward. This is the last little visit that they will have in Pisces for a very, very, very long time. So make sure that if you are a water sign, which is Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, or the opposite sign of Virgo, that you really don't waste this opportunity to make sure that you've tidied everything up, that you've really sort of done everything that's been required of you in these last 3 years, particularly to sort your life out, get it on a better even keel, and be ready to move forward, because once the energy moves into Aries, it's going to be their turn to be under the spotlight of these two planets. So, Pisces then will be able to breathe easier, but it's a newfound confidence that a lot of Pisceans have found, and it's becoming really comfortable with them, that people are really starting to take notice of them and see them for who they truly are, and that's a good thing. So finally, we're going to wrap it up with Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. Now, Uranus will be there until the end, retrograde until the end of February next year. So it's really, really important, because the earth signs are still feeling the effects of Uranus, even though Uranus is going retrograde. Uranus is the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, things that can happen out of nowhere. Now, yes, it's predominantly affecting the earth signs, which is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio, but it is washing over the remaining 8 signs. So again, I'm going to stress to you, every single sign, be very, very careful what you wish for. Be very, very careful what you verbalize out there, because Uranus is listening. If you say, I hate my job, Uranus will say, oh, well, I don't need the job, and take it away from you. You may just be having a bad day. Yes, we all have the right to vent, but be very careful at how we word it. Like if somebody's annoying you, you can say, yes, they're really annoying me. I wish they would leave me alone, but I understand that they're going through a tough time. So you've been able to vent, but you've also acknowledged the fact that they're going through a tough time. So Uranus says, oh yeah, well, they were a bit angry with them, but they're okay about it. They understand. So then Uranus doesn't feel the need to act on your behalf. So be very, very careful with that. So I hope you've enjoyed the astrology section for this week. We're going to talk with Casey now in Chardon in Ohio. Are you there, Casey?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi, Casey. What a lovely name. How can I help you today? Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
Yes, I do. What past life experiences are influencing me now?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. Look, we all have past life experiences. We all do. And a lot of people sort of want to use that as a scapegoat or a way to blame things for things that aren't necessarily going right in this current life. I'm a firm believer in that we all have karmic lessons that we are meant to achieve or work through as a soul. Now, whether we choose to do them in 1 lifetime or 100 lifetimes is entirely up to us. Now, this is partly where the past life experiences come from, because if, let's use an example, you had 10 experiences that you were meant to achieve, and you achieved 4 of them in your first lifetime, you achieved 2 in the second lifetime, and so on and so on. But each lifetime, we didn't complete the whole 10. We still had a remainder, which then goes into the next lifetime. Well, that's okay, because that's what we're going to work on in this current lifetime. But at the same time, our soul still remembers the previous lifetimes that we have been experiencing. We don't necessarily remember everything verbatim, nor do we remember every single detail of every single lifetime or every experience that we experienced, but we also there can be times where we go to do something, we think, gee, that feels familiar, I've never been here before, or I've never done that journey before. Why am I feeling like I know what to do? That is usually a past life experience. What I'm picking up around you, Casey, is that in particularly two of your past lives, you were connected in some way with sort of healing or medical. Now, is this something that is really starting to bubble away in the background in your life at the moment, that you're really developing an interest in this?
Yes, yeah. The healing
Yeah,
modality.
and this is why. Now, it's not necessarily do we have to go back in and understand every single past life at why or how is it affecting in this lifetime. All as we need to know is that's natural to you. That's all you need to know. That, if there's things that come through, say, let's just use, you're going to go off and learn how to be a masseuse, right? So you go to the class and you start studying the physiology and the body parts and all this different stuff. And then all of a sudden you think, I already know that. How did I know that? I've never studied it before. That's that past life wisdom coming back in and sharing it with you to sort of say, okay, well, you already know this. Yes, okay, we've got to do the refresher course or see what more modern techniques there might be, but it's something that you already know. So I don't want you to dwell on what it is from your past lives that's influencing this life. Just know if things come up in your life that you haven't experienced before, but all of a sudden you have this sudden rush of knowledge or it feels familiar, or how do I know that? Just know then that that's part of a past life. If we get too bogged down on looking at what past lives are influencing this life, I think we then miss the opportunities as they come in this time because we're too busy looking backwards instead of focusing on the here and now. So I hope that's helped you understand that a little bit more, Casey, about, you are a natural healer. You have been in at least 2 lifetimes. I'm going to say probably even up to 4, but I think, the first 2, I don't think you really grasped it. You sort of, you walked around it and sort of said, oh, that's not for me, and it kept coming back to you and you'd take a little bit on board and then you'd push it away. But there was 2 definite lifetimes where that was your life's work. And this is why now it's becoming much more prominent than maybe that you thought it would be. And I'm also going to throw a little bit of psychic energy in there as well, because I think you have a very natural psychic ability. We all have psychic ability, but some of us are more natural at it than others. I want you to just allow that to develop. And it may be that it's going to develop for you through your healing modalities. It's not necessarily about going to learn astrology or palmistry or tarot. Let it come in the ways that it comes naturally to you. So I hope that's helped you, Casey.
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's where we're going to leave Casey. We're going to talk with Katrina now in New Windsor in New York, USA. Are you there, Katrina?
I'm doing okay. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Katrina. Do you have a question you'd like me to answer for you, sweetie?
Yeah, I like a reading to see what's going on in my life, relationship-wise. If you can tell me something.
Okay. If it's a relationship question, can I have that person's first initial? If there's someone special, someone significant.
I am not seeing anybody. I want to know if anybody's coming into my life.
Okay, that's fine, Katrina. I always ask because sometimes people sort of word it in a way that I'm not sure whether there's someone in their life or not.
Yeah.
That's why I always check. Okay. It's really, really interesting, Katrina. Your soul is sort of sharing with me that this year has not been one of the easiest years of your life, has it not? It's been a year where it's sort of like I've really had to work through some tough issues and to sort of really be honest with myself about what I want and what I don't want moving forward. And that's good. Sometimes we need to take that hard-lined approach. I do feel that there's going to be somebody new, somebody significant coming into your life, but I don't think it's going to be before about March or April next year. And it's not because you're not ready. I just don't think the universe is bringing what I term as the right person towards you until then. I'm not saying that you can't go on a date before then if somebody crosses your path and, you feel inclined, but the real special, significant person is coming in then. And it's interesting because I feel that they are very different from anybody that you've ever partnered off with in the past. This person is very gentle and you sort of think, oh, I don't know whether they're strong enough for me. Don't underestimate because they seem soft and pliable and gentle that they don't have a strong strength there. They do have a very, very strong strength there, and when it needs be, they can step up to the plate and be stronger than you can be, and that's a good thing. I also sort of feel that it's good for you to have somebody that's going to come in your life and sort of soften up the edges around you a little bit, Katrina, because you've had to become tough over the years. years because, you know, you've only really ever had yourself to rely on. And when you've had only yourself to rely on, of course, you build a much tougher exterior around you as a protection. So this person's able to sort of come in and soften that up a little bit and make you laugh and make you feel like, you know, life is worth living again. And that's good because, you know, life has been pretty tough a lot of times for you. And it's nice to have somebody to come in and make you laugh, somebody to share special moments with, and someone that makes you feel alive again and really gets you and sort of laughs at your jokes and things like that and tells you you're beautiful and all the important things because, you know, being in love is a very special thing, but we need it to be with the right person and needs to be with somebody that is the other half of us, somebody that complements us. So have you got a journey planned in the early part of next year?
Do I have a journey?
Yeah. Have you got something planned, like a little trip away somewhere?
Not as now, or not yet, but you never know.
Okay.
I don't.
Right.
You see me planning a trip?
Well, the reason I was asking Katrina was because they were showing me after you've taken this short journey, and I'm saying it's one of those journeys where you might only be going for a couple of days because I could only see like a little overnight bag. It was like you've no sooner done that and you've come back, and within a few weeks after that, you meet this special person with the dark hair. And it's like you don't meet them on the trip, but it's like that's sort of like the timing. And I don't want you to sort of sit down and say, oh, gee, I've got to plan a trip because Amanda told me. No, let it organically happen. It might just be that you've got to go and help somebody because they've just come out of hospital for a couple of days and you think, well, I don't think that's the trip she was talking about. But, you know, it's something that isn't necessarily, you're not going on a lavish overseas holiday. This is something that's unexpected, and it's like this is the timing factor. Also, have you been working on your health this year too, Katrina?
Okay. Is this when I'm going to meet this person?
Yeah, you're going to meet them after the trip, and it's like weeks after the trip. It's got nothing to do with anything other than it's sort of like timing. That was what, you know, they were sharing with me. But also, I want to, have you been working on yourself, you know, like health-wise and emotion-wise this year? Have you been sort of trying to improve things in your life?
Yes.
Well, they're showing me a lot of red ticks, like, you know, you've got the tick of approval with everything that you've been doing. So that's a good sign. I want to say keep it up. You don't have a lot of faith in people, do you?
A little fight?
You don't have a lot of faith in people. You know, a lot of people that have crossed your path have let you down.
No, I don't have any of that.
No, but that's okay. This new man that's coming into your life will reinstate that, you know, that you will start to have faith in people. And, you know, and as I said before, you've had a tough life. You know, you're like, I'm not going to criticize you for how you've protected yourself because you've had to. And with this man coming in, he's just going to soften everything up and he's going to make you feel not vulnerable. I don't mean it in that way, but it's like I can finally exhale. I can finally sort of let go of things and trust in the process of being in love and being with somebody that really truly cares about me and wants to be with me. And he's walked a tough path to get to you too. So, you know, neither of you have had what I'd call a charmed life. You've both had a lot to contend with, but he hasn't lost that gentleness there, you know, like he's able to bring that and sort of soften you up. And there's lots of laughter, there's lots of little outings, and, you know, he just spoils you. He makes you feel like a princess. And that's what it should be like. You know, you should be the apple of someone's eye. You should be the centre of their universe, and you will be for him. So it's really nice. And I don't think he actually lives very far from you, only a matter of streets. And you're sort of going to say to yourself, well, how come I never met you before? You know, we move in the same sort of circles and we've never met. Well, wasn't the time, wasn't the right time. That's what, you know, the universe has the timetable. We're just, you know, the pawns on the chessboard. We just do as we're told when the time's right. So, you know, and your time is coming. So there seems to be quite a bit of activity from the other side too. Is it a time of the year where you had a lot of relatives passed over or something?
What was that? Somebody that passed away?
Yeah, Yeah, is it a time of the year that where you had a number of relatives that might have passed away at this time of the year? Because there's like a party going on the other side, but nobody's come forward with a specific message. Just collectively as a group, they're telling me they're having a good time.
Yeah. Can I just ask you one question? I don't know if we're running out of time. I have
Sure.
a daughter. She's my second daughter. Hasn't talked to me for 14 years after she married an Indian guy. Do you see anything
No.
coming?
I wish I could say she was going to contact you for Christmas, but I think that's going to be being overzealous. Look, I know that she knows that she's done and said a lot of wrong things, but at the same time, she believes you did too. And it's sort of like she's not ready yet, I think, to sort of throw a hat in the ring, so to speak, and sort of try and reconcile with you. But she's closer now than what she ever was. I think there will be a sudden message or a letter or email or something from her towards the end of next year, and it'll be out of the blue, and she sort of just, it's only a few words like asking how you are and here's my phone number or my email address if you want to contact me. And it's like that's her bold step coming forward to see how you're going to respond. Look, I can't tell you what to do, Katrina, but what I can suggest to you is if it was me in your situation, regardless of what's gone down between the two of you, if she's extending the olive branch, I'd grab it with both hands. I would respond. You know, like it's been a long time that the two of you have had no contact. Maybe it's time for the two of you to, you know, to be in each other's lives again. And I think that's important.
Yeah. I tried, but it's not working.
Yeah, but, you know, like you can't be held responsible for everything, sweetie. You know, she played her part in what happened in the disagreement between the two of you too. You know, yes, you may not have approved of the person she married, and that's your choice as a mother. But, you know, like at the end of the day, she should have sort of understood or tried to understand from your point of view too, and she didn't. She just slammed the door shut, and that's where she's left it. You know, she sort of hasn't dared to even try and open that door. So, you know, there will be contact, but I don't think it'll be for at least another 8 or 9 months. And, you know, she's got to be the one to make the first move. You can't. She won't accept it. If you knew where she was and you reached out to her, I think she would slam the door shut in your face again. You've got to wait for her to come to you.
Happened already. That has happened. So you're right. I have to wait for her to come.
You do,
I try. I
unfortunately.
did my part.
Yeah, and all you can do is keep sending a positive energy and keep moving forward with your life, sweetie. That's all you can do. Anyway, Katrina, that's where we've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show. So we've come to the end of the show. It's a difficult time of the year where people are sort of trying to reconcile with loved ones and things like that. And I understand that it can be a very difficult time for everybody. So try and make peace with people that, you know, haven't been in your life for some time. So this week I want to leave you with one of my very, very favourite Christmas carols. And look, there's so many to choose from around the world and so many beautiful singers that do so many beautiful renditions of beautiful traditional carols. But this one I think is almost like a religious experience when you hear this one and you put it on the turntable. And it's from two beautiful Australian singers that were both born in London, both born in England, but, you know, we claimed them as ours in Australia. And it's Silent Night with Olivia Newton-John, and Olivia's no longer with us, and John Farnham. And I think, you know, if you haven't ever heard this rendition of Silent Night, you're really in for a treat. It is a beautiful, beautiful rendition of Silent Night. So until next week, I'm going to leave you with that beautiful song, Silent Night, with Olivia Newton-John and John Farnham from Australia. Bye for now.